Good morning. We're learning the Mishna Brura for today, chapter 47, halachot number 9 to 12, and I'm trying out this new format with the pagination. Please tell me if it is better or worse than before. Yesh omrim, there are those who say, she'im, that if hifsik, he stopped or took a break, bein birkat haTorah lelimudo, between the blessings of the Torah and his learning, Ein bakach klum. There's not in this. Klum means like anything or nothing, right? There's nothing in this. There's no problem with this. Some say if you stopped between blessing the Torah and learning, there's no problem. Vehanachon, but what is correct? Shelo lahafsik, to not stop beinayhem, between them. So the question over here, before we look into this further, is, I say the bracha of putting up a mezuzah, and then I go and have breakfast, and then I come back to put up the mezuzah, right? Doesn't work like that. So when it comes to study of Torah, how does it work? Do we say, well, it's the same thing. You've said your bracha on the Torah, and therefore you study Torah immediately? Or do we say it's okay if you take a break between the two? So some say that if you take a break, it's not a problem. There's no problem in this. However, it is correct not to take the break. V'chein nahagu, and so too we are accustomed, lomar, to say, parshat birkat kohanim, the parsha of the brachot of the kohanim, samuch, close by, levirkat haTorah, to the blessings of the Torah. So we therefore have the custom that as soon as we've said the blessings of the Torah, we say the verses of Birkat Kohanim, the Yevarechecha Hashem v'Yishmerecha. As we'll see in a second, the idea is that you study Torah immediately afterwards. So even though there is this opinion that it doesn't need to follow right afterwards, it's better too that your Torah should follow right afterwards, so that's what we do. Halacha number 10. Im hifsik, if he did take a break, if he did stop, milil mod, from learning, v'nit asak, and engaged, ba'asakav, literally in his engagements, in his business, in doing what he's doing. So now this is also an interesting question. I put on my talis with the bracha. I take off my talis. I go, I do a whole lot of work in the office for 3 hours. I come back, I put my talis on again. Do I need to say a new bracha? So we saw a lot of those laws when it came to talis and tefillin. How does it work when it comes to the Torah? So if I say the bracha, I do some learning, then I go to work, and then I come back to learning. Kevan, since, sheda'ato, his intention, lachazor, to return, lilmod, to learn, lo havei hefsek, this would not be a break. I stop learning and go to work, but I know that I'm going to come back to learning later. V'hu hadin, and the law is the same, l'sheina, to sleep, u'merchatz, and shower, u'veit hakisei, and the bathroom, the lavatory, de lo havei hefsek, that is not a break. So the idea is, since in all of these cases, I'm intending to return and study Torah, so therefore it's not considered that I have broken from my study of Torah, that I need a new bracha. What if I am not intending to come back and study Torah, but then I do? We'll see that in the Mishna Brura. Halacha number 11. Shnat keva, a set sleep. In other words, a set aside solid sleep, bayom, in the day. Al mitato, on his bed. Have hefsek, that would be a break. In other words, this that you take a nap during the day, you don't need to repeat your brachot of the Torah. But if you actually lie down to sleep for 2 hours, and then you wake up, that would be a break, and therefore you'll need to say your bracha again. V'yesh omrim, and there are those who say, that it would not be a break, that you would still get up and continue studying Torah without saying the bracha. V'chein nahagu, and this is our custom. So our custom, in fact, is that you say the bracha of the Torah once a day, and you don't, according to the Shulchan Aruch, and you don't come back to say it later, even if you took a proper sleep. Number 12, af im lamad balayla, even if he learned at night. Halayla holech achar hayom she'avar, the night follows after the day that has passed. Ve'einot tzarich lachazor ulevarech, and he does not need to return right? As we saw just a little bit earlier, to return and to say the blessing, kol zman shelo yashan, the entire time, kol zman, the entire time, that he did not sleep. As long as you didn't sleep, you don't need to say a new bracha. In other words, I study Torah and it becomes night time. Do I say it's now a new day and I need to say a new bracha? The answer is no. I continue with my bracha from earlier. Now let's take a look at the Mishna Brura. She'im hifsik. If I broke between the bracha and the Torah study, I do not need to say new blessings on the Torah. Ta'amam. Their reason is that davka only ka'ava rabbah, the law of a ikar bracha levirkat Torah, particularly when it comes to ava rabbah, the blessing before the Shema, which is not the essence of the blessing of the Torah, as eino poter el imkain lamad miyad bli hefsek. Then it does not poter, exempt you, in other words, fulfill your obligation of saying the blessing, ele imkain, unless, that whole phrase, ele imkain lamad miyad, he learnt immediately, bli hefsek, without a break. The opinion that says that you don't need to learn right away, say that the blessing of the Torah itself has within it a fulfillment of Torah also. It's not like the blessing of the mezuzah that I mentioned, that as soon as I said the blessing of the mezuzah, I have to put up the mezuzah. No, it's not like that. Even if you don't put up the mezuzah, so to speak, you've just said the blessings of the Torah, that's good enough because they're the proper blessings. However, as we said, it is correct to come back and to say the blessings and to say words of Torah, which is why we say Birkat Kohanim. Aval Birkat Torah poteret kol hayom, but the blessings of the Torah, again, this word exempts you the entire day. Afilu lo lamad achar tfilat shacharit ad chatzi hayom, even if he did not learn after shacharit prayer until chatzi hayom, until halfway through the day. In other words, I say the bracha without the verses of the Kohanim, let's say. I do my whole davening, I go to work, and 12 o'clock I have a shiur. Still, I don't need to say the brachot again, say it at once, it's fine. Why? V'lo dami lechol brachot, and it is not dami, similar, comparable, domeh, to compare. It's Aramaic. V'lo dami lechol brachot, it's not similar to all other blessings. She'asur lehafsik, it is forbidden to break bein bira bracha la mitzvah, between the bracha and the mitzvah, as I said, like with mezuzah. Siman Reish Vav, as we see in chapter 206. The sha'ani hacha, sha'ani shoneh, different. Hacha, here. Here it is different. The mitzvah lehagot yom valayla. It is a mitzvah to lehagot, difficult word to translate. I guess I would say to meditate, to think about Torah, to be engaged in Torah. Yom v'layla. It's a mitzvah to engage in Torah all the time. V'im kain, if so. Le'olam, always. Leka, there is not. Hesech hada'at. Hesech hada'at, removal of intention. Hesech hada'at basically means like distraction, lack of continued focus. Comes up many times in halakha. Have I had hesech da'at? Have I changed my focus from what it is? When it comes to Torah, there is no such thing as hesech da'at, because my mind is always on Torah. And that explains the theme of this whole chapter of why you don't need to be saying these brachot all the time, because once you've said it once, that kind of keeps you going throughout the whole day. Aval, however, rov ha'akronim cholkin al ha'mechaber. The majority of the later sages Cholkim argue al hamachaber with the author, with Rabbi Yosef Karo, the Shulchan Aruch. The maskim ledat hayesh omrim, who agrees to the opinion of the yesh omrim, of this other opinion that you don't need to say Torah straight afterwards. The lo katav machaber rak ve'anachon, because the machaber only wrote it is correct. Right? It is correct to follow right afterwards, but you don't really have to. Most opinions say, svira lahu, they hold, the din birkat ha-Torah, the law of the blessings of the Torah, kamo b'kol birkat ha-mitzvot, is like all blessings over mitzvot. Or ha-nehenin, or all blessings over benefit or enjoyment. That tzarich lachzor ulevarech, that you need to go back and say the blessing. Im hifsik, if you broke, techef, immediately, same as miyad. Achar habracha, after the blessing. Afim yodea baverur, even if you know clearly, shelo yisiach da'ato, that you did not have a distraction. So I said the blessings of the Torah, and then I'm thinking Torah while I eat my breakfast, and then I go and study Torah. They say, you need to go back and say those blessings again. The kevan, since shelo hitchil, I did not begin adayin yet, beha mitzvah, doing the mitzvah. I haven't yet begun doing the mitzvah. Ein la'achar kach al ma'lechu. There is not afterwards something on which lachul to take effect. Lachul can take effect. There is nothing on which for the blessing to take effect. So coming back to the mezuzah, this other opinion is saying it is like the mezuzah. So I say the blessing on the mezuzah. I go and have breakfast. I come back and put up the mezuzah. It doesn't work like that. The mitzvah can't just be held in abeyance that entire time. The bracha can't just be held in abeyance. V'chein hiskim, and so too he agreed. Hapri chadash ve'agra, those two opinions. V'chein he'etik ha'chaya adam, and so too he copied down. The chaya adam copied this down. La halacha as halacha, that you do need to follow up with the bracha. Umikol makom, nevertheless, nearly it seems to me, the kevan sheyesh poskim shesovrim da'en tzarich lachzor levarech. So nevertheless, it seems to me that since there are poskim, halachic authorities, that hold that you do not need to go back and to say the blessing. Your tertov, it is better im eira lo, if it happened, eira, it happened to him, shehivsik acha birchat Torah, that he did take the break after the blessings of the Torah, sheyechavein, that he should have intention, achakach, afterwards, the birkat ahava rabbah, when he says the blessing of ahava rabbah, letzait bazeh, to literally go out, but that means to fulfill with this, yedei birkat Torah, this obligation of the blessing of the Torah. And he should learn a little immediately after he finishes davening. And take a look in the Be'er Halacha. And this is how we are accustomed. So he says we are accustomed to say the blessing of the verses of Birkat Kohanim. Hata'am, the reason, Beshloshet Psukim, in 3 verses, Sheratza Lasader Kederech HaKoreh b'Torah. We wanted to arrange it in the way that of the Koreh in the Torah, of reading from the Torah. We have a rule when it comes to reading from the Torah that you can only read from the Torah if you're saying 3 verses. You don't read an aliyah of less than 3 verses. So when it comes to studying Torah, even though you can study Torah even less than 3 verses, we wanted to make it that we only do it with less than 3 verses. V'naktu, they mentioned, or they grabbed hold of is better. They took hold of. Elu, these verses, we're going to have 3 verses, could be any 3 verses. These verses, mishum, because, sheyesh behen a bracha, there is in them blessing. Mutar lomar afilu kodem ora boker, and it is permissible to say this even before the light of the morning. Telo kayesh machmirin, not like those who are strict. Le'esor, to prohibit, as then, lomar ela psukim, to say these verses. Mitam she'en nasiat kapayim balayla, from the reason that there is no nasiat kapayim, literally raising the hands, but we mean the priestly blessing, what we call duchening. There's no duchening at night. So some say, well, since there's no duchening at night, so you can't say these verses at night. This is not so. Mitam limud, from the reason of learning, anu omimotu is saying it. Velomitam nasiat kapayim, not from the reason of blessing. We're not doing the priestly blessing, so that's not an issue. Birkat Kohanim, the blessing of the Kohanim. V'nahagu lomar gamkein elu devarim she'en lehem shi'ur. We have the custom also of saying, these are the things that have no shi'ur, set amount. Shehi Mishna, which is a Mishnah. So we don't just say verses on the Torah, we also say a Mishnah. Umeimra, and the saying, that these are the things which a person gets reward in this world and the next world, in order to fulfill Mikra, Torah, Mishnah, and Gemara. So we say 3 sections after the brachot of the Torah so that we're learning completely. It's not really part of the brachot, but it's the fulfillment of the mitzvah. Kevan sheda'ato. The idea here was, if you stop learning, you learned a little bit, then go do business, then come back, that's not a break since you're intending to come back to learn later. So he says, Mashma de ayin dar kol ilmod. Somebody that it is not his way to learn, v'nimlach, and he changed his mind, lilmod, to learn. So let's say you have a guy, he goes to a shiur just in the morning, and that's it, he doesn't learn the rest of the day. One day he decides to pull out a book and learn. Sarich lachzor ulevarech. It implies that such a person needs to go back and say the blessing. Kain katav Magen Avraham, that's what the Magen Avraham writes. The Beit Yosef is only saying, since it's the nature of a Jew to always grab a free minute to study Torah, he doesn't need to say the blessings during the day. So they're asking, well, what if you're talking about a different kind of Jew? So Magen Avraham says, indeed, he would need to say new brachot. Taz katav lehepech. And the Taz wrote the opposite. Demidalo katav Shulchan Aruch im da'atu lachzor. From the fact that he did not write, the Shulchan Aruch did not write, if his intention is to go back, mashma, this implies, that mistama, from stam, unqualified, right? Stam, we would say, without other qualifications, we would say dahabe daite. His intention is im yizdamein, if it would present itself, that if he, we would say somebody's basic intention is, if he would have the opportunity to learn, even at the time he doesn't usually learn, he does not say the bracha again. And we should go lenient when it comes to a doubt in a bracha. In other words, it's not so clear. Somebody who mamash does not normally learn during the day and decides to learn later on, do we actually say that he has intention later on? We're not so sure. Since it's in doubt, rather leave it. That's the great rule in brachot, is that when you're in doubt, don't say the bracha. Okay, next section. L'sheina. What about sleeping? Now we said later on sleeping might be. So here, why sleeping isn't? Rotzalama. This means to say shnat arai, a casual sleep. Dahainu shenit nam name. This means he dozes. B'meyushav, sitting al atzile yadav, on his forearms. Right? He puts his head down on the desk for a power nap. Afilu balayla, even at night. A power nap, you definitely don't need to say the bracha again. Merchatz beit hakisei, the shower, the lavatory. Lefi gam sham eno mesiach da'ato adayin mililmod achar kach. Since also there he does not literally remove his mind, hesach hadat, distraction, he does not change focus yet from learning afterwards. Since he's going to come back and learn, it's not a problem. V'od, furthermore, shegam sham tzarich lizaher b'dinayhem. Also there he needs to be careful with their laws. There is halacha to be followed in the shower and in the bathroom also. Revealing a tefach, like 10 centimeters or more in the toilet. What that basically means is that you don't uncover yourself more than is necessary. Similarly in the shower, linyan shilat shalom, that you don't say to somebody shalom, which is the name of Hashem when you're in the shower. Okay, and therefore, he has not yet distracted himself from the Torah because he's still thinking about halacha. Now he said, what if you actually lie down in your bed and take a proper sleep in the middle of the day? Some say you need to say the brachot, some say you don't, and our custom is not to say the brachot. So Mishna Brura again brings from the later consensus, Uvelechem chamurot katav, Velechem chamurot writes, Velinir, it seems to me, Shemavarech tavo alav bracha. One who says the blessing, bracha should come upon him. It's a good thing. V'chein nahag mori ma'ari levarech, and he says, my teacher, the Ma'ari, would say the blessing. And other many other halachic authorities also you should say the blessing. And the Vilna also wrote that. The Chaya Adam also said that. So there he says, even though the Pri Megadim says you can rely on the custom not to say the blessing, Al Kol Panim, at least, Niret seems pashut, obvious, that Somech Al Kol HaPoskim Shizkanu, one who relies on all the authorities that we've mentioned, Umavarich, and says the blessing, Lo Hefsid, has not lost anything. In other words, they both are valid ways. There are those who say you shouldn't say the blessing, there are those who say you definitely should say the blessing. You don't go wrong by saying the blessing because of the number of those who do if you took a proper nap. Now, Balayla. So the next one was that you have somebody who learns at night. So he said the blessing that morning, he doesn't say the blessing again that night. Rotzelamad, this means, even if he didn't learn that whole day at all, he still doesn't need to re-say the bracha. Shavar, the night follows after the day that has passed. She calls man shuneur, the entire time that he is awake. Mutal alav is placed upon him. Lilmod calls man sheyesh lo panai, to learn the entire time that he has free time. Va'eina hefsek va'esek dat chashiv hefsek le'inyan birkat Torah. And the break and change of focus of the mind is not chashiv considered. A hefsek, a break, le'inyan birkat Torah, regarding the blessings of the Torah. Shelo yashan, somebody who did not sleep. Ratza lomar, this means shnat keva, if somebody didn't sleep, a set sleep. So this was saying that he doesn't need to go back the entire time that he did not sleep, as long as he's still awake that night. Means as long as he hasn't had a set sleep. But if he slept with a formal set sleep on his bed, even at the beginning of the night, in other words, he goes to bed from 9 to 11 and then wakes up, that definitely is considered a break. Even the opinion earlier on who said during the day it's not considered a break agrees that at night it's considered a break. Now what if you were awake the entire night? Some say that you do not need to say the blessings in the morning because you're still awake. And some say that you do need to say the blessing. Because the sages set, same as keva, kav'u, they set zu b'chol yom, every day, dumya, similar to domeh, to sha'ar brachot hashachar, the other morning brachot. So some say it's like a bracha of the mitzvah. You're going to do that. You've said the bracha already. You don't need to say it again. You're still engaged in that bracha. Others say it's a little bit different. Since it was established that we say it every single morning, you continue saying it every single morning. Safek brachot lahakel, and since it's in doubt, we will go lenient. If it is possible, he should ensure to hear the blessings of the Torah from somebody else. He should have intention to fulfill his obligation with the blessings. Right? You go up to somebody who did sleep and say, please say the blessings for both of us. And he should have intention to fulfill his obligation and answer Amen. And he should say afterwards, several psukim, some psukim, in order that will be considered, that he has done some learning. So the other guy says, the blessing for me, and I do some learning. Or your other option is to have intention to fulfill your obligation when you say the blessing of Ahava Rabbah before the Shema, and you should learn immediately, a little bit, after you finish your davening. And if, now next permutation, I slept 5 hours in the day, and after that I stayed up the whole night. Pasak Hagan, Rabbi Akiva Eiger says, there everyone agrees you need to say the blessings of the Torah in the morning. And the blessing of Ahavat Olam, the blessing we say before Ma'ariv, doesn't work unless you learn immediately after Ma'ariv. Now the that's it for today.